If you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys, it is Wednesday, May 22nd, and it's 10:55 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, I'm here, you're here, looks like we're the first, so what do you say we get the coffee on for everybody else? I think it's a good idea. Anyway, we do not have any Q posts today, and I'm getting really tired of saying that. I wish Q would say something like, hey, but we do have a lot of Q-related news, and there's a lot that happened today. There was a lot of news to get through, and that is why I'm late. I also have a nasty sunburn. That is not a rash, or some people, when they get embarrassed, their neck blushes, but no, that's not me. Sunburn, which is hard to believe because the sun has not been out here for a very, very long time. So, and I was just running a few errands and suddenly the sun went down and I went, my gosh, I've got a sunburn. And I don't actually like having too much sun because, well, you know, when you get older, you don't want to wrinkle up. All right. Well, let's get into the news. Just because we can, we're going to crawl right in it, get right up in it. And there is a lot to cover tonight. I'm going to try to do my best in one video. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If I still have strength, I may do another video because I've really got enough news for two. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, and also thank you guys that have become Patreon supporters and you guys that have thrown a coffee at me every now and then. Well, don't actually throw it because, you know, it's hot. But I do appreciate it very, very much. And especially, especially, especially since I got sticker shock today. I went and picked out and paid for my new glasses. My gosh, when you don't have insurance. I had no idea. Anyway, it'll be much better because they're anti-glare and you'll actually be able to see my beady little eyes. I don't know if you want to or not, but you right now get a big glare from the light, and when I play back things and I see it, I don't like it, so I would imagine that it would bother other people because I like to see people's eyes. It tells me a whole lot about what's going on behind the eyes. All right, well, let's get into the news. And what's going on here? There we go. So far, Sammy's being good, so I'm going to hope that you don't see his tail swishing back and forth, in front of the camera tonight. That was a little embarrassing, but what can you do? Okay, now this I found fascinating, but this is from March, and this is the first time seeing it. So I don't know where I've been. Maybe you guys are up on this and you've heard of it already, but I didn't. Former Obama and Clinton official found dead of apparent suicide. Well, these apparent suicides seem to happen a lot around the Clintons. Another person with direct ties to Clinton and Obama has supposedly committed suicide, according to reports. Professor Alan Kruger was found dead in his home, according to Princeton police. Kruger served as top advisor to President Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. Maybe I did hear about this, and maybe I covered it, but for some reason, it doesn't sound familiar. So I don't know. If I've covered it before, then maybe I'm just having brain fade today. I don't know. But when I see Clintons and suicide, I usually remember those things. But the 58-year-old committed suicide, his family said in a separate statement released by the school Monday, New York Post reports. It is with tremendous sadness that we share that Professor Alan B. Kruger, beloved husband, father, son, brother, and Princeton professor of economics, took his own life over the weekend, the family said. The family requests the time and space to grieve and remember him. Kruger served as Labor Department economist under Clinton, then as top Treasury official for Obama. From 2011 to 2013, he was chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors. But we tend to find the death suspicious. actually, whenever I hear that somebody's dead and they've been tied to Clinton, I don't consider it suspicious at all. I consider it murder. This man was totally successful and actually has a book scheduled to be released in June. He had everything to live for, so why commit suicide? There are many theories floating around on social media. Why did Alan Kruger commit suicide when he has a book coming out June of 2019? I wonder what dirt he had on the Clintons, another person asked. Well, looks like the suicide wave has started now that more evidence is surfacing. I wonder who is next, another said. Oh, please, here we go again. How many people associated with the Clintons have committed suicide? For one reason or another, it's becoming a national epidemic. Of course, nothing will be done about it, and no honest investigation will be allowed to open the Clinton graveyard and reopen the cases of people who committed suicide, another person wrote. The Clinton hitman is the best you've never heard of. CIA should have hired him. He might teach their assassins a thing or two, but then he or she has never been named. Whoever is darned good, another person said. Various contractors hired through the CIA's database of known hitmen. Hillary probably has them on speed dial. One thing for sure, he'll never be able to testify against any of these people if he had dirt because he's dead. You have to wonder what really happened. Well, Kruger is survived by his wife Lisa and 2 adult children. Well, thank goodness that his children are adults, because that's a horrible thing for children to lose a parent when they're young. Benjamin and Sydney, rest in peace. God bless. Yeah. It seems that anybody that's been connected to the Clintons that had any sort of dirt on them whatsoever ends up, well, you know. All right, let's go back because there's lots to get to tonight. No, really, there is. All right, now this I find very, very interesting and very suspicious. You know how people such as Comey have been using, and he's not the only one, have been using their Twitter accounts to kind of send out coded messages. Well, that's what I believe John O. Brennan is doing in this. And this was from the 14th of May, 2019. Okay, well, I'm a bit late on picking up on it, but still, Senator Graham and his ilk bear responsibility for damage being done to our national interests at home and abroad by acquiescing to Mr. Trump's incompetence, corruption, and malevolence. Who will shun political expedience and do what is right? Who among you is wise and understanding? Okay, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, doesn't sound like anything strange to me. I mean, except that, you know, he's lying through his teeth, but that's nothing new. In fact, he is probably in more trouble than Comey is at this point. However, just stay with me. Where does that come from? Who among you is wise and understanding? Where does that come from? The Bible. Okay, I know you're still saying so. Well, it comes from John 3:13, is it? Yeah. No, James 3:13. It's from James 3:13. It's a quote. Who among you is, and this from Progress Bin, in response to John Brennan, it says, who among you is wise and understanding, is code for Zapruder frame number 313. Are you telling James Comey to do this? Your communications are finished. Now, what is frame number 313 of the Zapruder film? That is the exact second when the fatal shot occurs to John F. Kennedy Sr., of course. Now, considering this, I really do believe that this is a code, because this is how they operate. It's how they operate. And we've seen it time and time and time again. He's quoting James 3:13. James Comey, 313. 313 Zapruder film is the exact headshot to President Kennedy. Who among you is wise and understanding? I think that it's possible that if it's not directed to James Comey, that it's directed to someone. And I do believe this is a threat on President's life. So please, if you are a believer, please pray for President Donald Trump. He is a duly elected president. I think it is our duty as Christians, those of us who are and who call Jesus our Savior, then I think that we should pray for those in leadership above us, especially those that are trying, or so it would appear to us at this point, trying to do the right thing. So, I mean, he's definitely innocent of all collusion and obstruction, because you can't obstruct a non-crime. But let's go on, because Papadopoulos, that's right, I said George Papadopoulos also responded. And this is what he said. Oh, John, all the weaponized assets you sent my way, Joseph Missud, Alexander Downer, Stefan Halper, are all being outed from London, Rome, and Canberra. Those governments are now actively cooperating with the Trump administration and have flipped on you. Your role will be exposed. I was reading down the responses to this tweet by Brennan, and I was amazed that I would say 99% of them were positive towards Trump and telling him, your time has come, buddy. The game's up. So really interesting. And wouldn't that just solve so many problems for so many people if Trump was? It would. I don't want to say that word because, you know, things are monitored. So, absolutely, that's what I think. I believe that that's what John Brennan's calling for, because they are that desperate. They are that desperate. They know their goose is cooked, for lack of a better term. Yeah, their goose is overcooked. Tough. It's tough, nasty stuff. All right, now this from Donald Trump, your president and mine. Everything the Democrats are asking me for is based on an illegally started investigation that failed for them, especially when the Mueller report came back with a no collusion finding. Now they say impeach President Trump even though he did nothing wrong while they fish. That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to keep this going for as long as they can. Why? Because they want it foremost in people's minds for the 2020 election. They want people thinking, gee, you know what? There might be something there with Trump. But I have a feeling that by the time 2020 rolls around, there'll be so much dirt that's been aired that it's going to be a landslide victory. That's what I believe. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, now let's go to this first. Yeah, this is good news for us all. Breaking: federal prosecutors have indicted Michael Avenatti for aggravated identity theft and engaging in a scheme to defraud porn star Stormy Daniels. If Stormy Daniels was a pizza, she would be called a pepperoni pizza. Just saying. All right, I'll stop. Okay, now, and CNN and MSNBC gave Avenatti $175 million in free media promotion for the purpose of attacking Trump. Oh, yes, they did. They sure did. Yeah. And what else do we have here? Avenatti has also been charged. Oops. That's right. I said oops. All right. Avenatti has also been charged for allegedly trying to extort Nike for $20 million. Not smart, Avenatti. Not smart at all. Really. Yeah. CNN had Avenatti on 121 times. 121. MSNBC had Avenatti on 108 times. Well, all I know is that I got so sick of hearing about Stormy Daniels that I wanted to throw up. Really. I just could not take it because it was so freaking obvious what they were doing. I mean, honestly, you would have to be, one IQ short of lettuce to not get it. All right. I like this response. Ha 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 ha. Breath. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, that was my reaction too. And it's not that I wish ill to anyone. I don't. It's just that I want justice because it was so obvious what they were doing. And the fact that, this has come back to bite them in the hinder parts, it's justice. And it's poetic justice, actually. It's not just justice, it's poetic justice. All right. So now there's more to this. Wait, there's more. It slices, it dices, and it buys you a pepperoncini pizza. All right, look at this. Stormy Daniels admits she lied about affair with Trump. Well, now we knew that all along, really. I mean, there may have been people saying, well, I don't care what he does, and I said that too. I said, he was hired to be president, not a pastor. Certainly if he was leading people spiritually, then I would say, look, we need to find out if this is true or not. But, he's hired to do a job, separation of church and state. Let him do his job. Who he sleeps with on his own dime is his money. It's his business. But I did not believe for 1 minute because it was so obvious what they were doing and how it was being presented that it was fake to me. But now she's admitted she lied about the affair. Porn star. I didn't have sex with Trump. No kidding. Yeah. Well, you know what? You don't sleep with green bologna when you've got a steak at home. I'm just saying. Really, you don't. And that's just common sense. You got a steak waiting for you at home. You're not going to stop at McDonald's on the way home. Are you? Well, if you do, there's something wrong with you. So, yeah. There you go. She admits it now. An adult film star who previously alleged an extramarital affair with Donald Trump now says in a statement the affair never happened. Yeah, we knew that. So there you go. But have you seen any of the news outlets apologizing? Have you seen any of them tripping over themselves saying, oh, we're so sorry, Donald Trump, that we dragged you through this and put you through this. We're sorry. I haven't seen one. Have you? No. In fact, this did come from the New York Post, so I will give them that. The New York Post has reported on it, but I don't think anybody else has. If they have, I haven't seen it. And I know I don't see everything. I don't have eyes in the back of my head like my mother does. She was a school teacher all her life, and I swear she does have eyes back there. Sometimes I part her hair and I look. I do. All right, now we're going to skip this one for now. Now, this from Sarah A. Carter. I believe Speaker Pelosi is covering up for the real cover-up. That's because Pelosi said that this was all a cover-up, that there really is collusion there. There really is, somewhere. It's just all a cover-up. What he's doing now, it's all a cover-up. So, Sarah A. Carter, I believe Speaker Pelosi is covering up for the real cover-up. What occurred during the 2016 election against the Trump campaign and the American people, instead of Democrats investigating what happened, they are playing politics, trying to impeach a duly elected president. And impeach for what? What has he done that's even impeachable? Nothing. That's right, nothing. He's been a great president, and for that, they want to impeach him. We have the best economy we've had in decades. and for that, they want to impeach him. We have more people employed now than ever before, and for that, they want to impeach him. We have more blacks working than ever before, and for that, they want to impeach him. We have more black business owners than ever before, and for that, they want to impeach him. I don't get it. I don't think we're meant to. And she was replying to Jim Sciutto. We believe the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up. That was said by Speaker Pelosi just now. Well, 10 hours ago. All right. So there you go. We'll have more from Pelosi coming up. I know. I'm sorry. It's the news. Okay. And this from Joe M. And he's replying to John Solomon. Tonight, with the Southeastern Legal Foundation's help, I filed a motion asking the FISA court to unseal evidence of wrongdoing or disciplinary actions in the Russia collusion case. America will benefit if we can achieve some transparency. Here it is. And he links to it. We're not going to go out to that now. Joe M. responds and says, and here's Trump's optically neutral pretext for declassifying the evidence so that the FISA court is free to unseal it. Yeah. Thanks, John Solomon. Man, this guy is proving to be one of the rock stars of the storm. I would agree, because I think that's exactly what's going on. He is, this is so that they can declassify the evidence so the FISA court is free to unseal it. Yes, it is. And then we'll all know. Well, at least more people. If we're not able to see it all, we'll at least see more of it than we can now. All right. Now, excuse me for a moment. I know this is bad for me. I know, man. I know. All right. Now, this from Shadow Band Rich says, developing Democrat chairman of House Oversight Committee. That's right, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Oversight. Yeah. And his wife. Accused of massive pay-to-play scandal. Well, isn't this special? Isn't he one of the loudest impeachment voices? Yes, I do believe he is. Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. Yeah, because his house is done shattered now. Unbelievable. Chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Pay-to-play scandal. And he is one of the loudest voices calling for Trump's impeachment. Isn't that wonderful how they just project all their sins onto another? It's like, in the Bible, the Israelites used to, they would place it was called the scapegoat, and they would place their sins on this goat, and it would be sent into the wilderness. And that is exactly what they're doing to Trump. They are placing onto Trump, projecting onto Trump all of their sins. Yes, they are. And they want him to be the scapegoat, but it's not going to work. It's not. So, yeah, Elijah Cummings caught up in a charity scandal, a charity run by Maya Rockeymoore, the wife of Representative Elijah Cummings. And we're not going to go out there now because we do have a lot of news to get to, but I did want to cover that so that I'm sure that you've heard it at least. Because there's so much happening right now, and it's like there's just so much news, there's such a volume of stuff out there that it's hard to sift through it. So I'm trying to navigate through and pull out the things that I think are important, that if I was busy and unable to read through the news, that I would want somebody to tell me. That's how I kind of look at it. I think, okay, a lot of these people are busy, or they're just maybe not as good at digging or whatever, and that's what I do. I enjoy doing it. I do it anyway. I've always wanted to be very much aware of what's going on. And so I look at it like, well, what if I was them, what would I want to know? And so hopefully I get it right. I mean, not always, and I may skip things that are very important because I may not see them or what have you, but I do try. All right, now this is very important, and it's a little bit lengthy, but I am going to play it, most of it. It's about 13 minutes, but it is Trump talking. Now, you may have heard this already. If you have, great, because I think we need to hear this. It was an unscheduled press meeting because, as you know, he met with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and about the infrastructure, but he then announced that I'm not going to meet with you two unless you agree to stop all of this unnecessary investigations because they're just prolonging. I mean, he explains it far better than I could. So let's listen to him. And this was the unscheduled press conference immediately after. Well, it'd be good if we could hear it.
Had in the history of our country. And I just saw that Nancy Pelosi, just before our meeting, made a statement that we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up. Well, it turns out I'm the most, and I think most of you would agree to this, I'm the most transparent president probably in the history of this country. We have given, on a witch hunt, on a hoax, the whole thing with Russia was a hoax as it relates to the Trump administration and myself. It was a total horrible thing that happened to our country. It hurt us in so many ways. Despite that, we're setting records with the economy, with jobs, with the most people. We have the best unemployment numbers that we've had in the history of our country. In some cases, 51 years, but generally in the history of our country. Companies are moving back in. Things are going well. And I said, let's have the meeting on infrastructure. We'll get that done easily. That's one of the easy ones. And instead of walking in happily into a meeting, I walk in to look at people that had just said that I was doing a cover-up. I don't do cover-ups. You people know that probably better than anybody. And I was just looking at a list of some of the things that we just did. More than 2,500 subpoenas qualified for. And I let everybody talk. I let the White House counsel speak for 30 hours. 30 hours. I have 19 special counsel lawyers, 40 FBI agents. I said, open it all up. Let them have whatever they want. Nearly 500 search warrants. Think of that, a search warrant. Did you ever see a search warrant before? Neither did I. This was over 500 search warrants. And of the 19 people that were heading up this investigation, or whatever you want to call it, with Bob Mueller, they were contributors to the Democrat Party, most of them, Hillary Clinton. They hated President Trump. They hated him with a passion. They went to her big party after the election that turned out to be a wake. Not a party, it was a wake. And they were very angry. These are the people that after 2 years and 40 million or 35 million dollars, it'll end up being a lot more than that by the time all the bills are paid. This is what happened. No collusion, no obstruction, no nothing. They issued 50 orders authorizing use of pen registers. Think of that, though. 500 witnesses. And then I have Nancy Pelosi go out and say that the President of the United States engaged in a cover-up. Now, we've had a House investigation. We have Senate investigations. We have investigations like nobody's ever had before, and we did nothing wrong. They would have loved to have said we colluded. They would have loved it. These people were out to get us. The Republican Party and President Trump. They were out to get us. This was a one-sided, horrible thing. The bottom line is they said there's no collusion with Russia. You heard so much talk about phone calls that my son made to me from this meeting that was set up by GPS Fusion.
Pay attention to this, because this part I had no idea. And it's so interesting. He's laying out his case so well, because he's saying, you know, we've got the best numbers in the history of the U.S. In some cases it's the best numbers in 50 years. The economy's doing well, companies are coming back, and then he goes through all of, you know, what went into it, all the hours of investigation, all the subpoenas, all the 500 witnesses, and he's going through that now, and he's saying, you know, and she's saying that I've been involved in you know, that the Mueller report took what, 40 some $40 million, and all of these witnesses and all this, like, nobody has ever been that investigated, I don't think, in the history of the world. I don't know of anybody that has gone through investigations like that. And there was nothing. And then Pelosi, who I swear, if you stand next to her, you can hear the wind whistling in a crosswind. You can hear it whistle. You can hear a whistle around her. Nothing in there. Or, I mean, also if you stand really close to her, you can hear the ocean. But anyway, she's saying he was involved in a cover-up. Now he's going to go into the Trump Tower thing. And this is fascinating because I didn't know this.
Looks like, which is the other side for those that don't know. And for a year, I heard about phone calls went to a special number, unauthorized. And it would have been my son, Don, who's a good young man, who's gone through hell. And they were calls that must have been made by him before and after the meeting, 3 calls. After massive study at work, they actually found who made the calls. One was a friend of ours, a real estate developer. Great guy, most of you know him, nice guy, loves our country. And the other one was the head of NASCAR, 2 of them. So of the 3 calls that were so horrible that he had a meeting and he called me, and then he had the meeting after, and he made 2 more calls. And they were written about like this little lines, couple of lines. Nobody wanted to admit it. Even last night, we had a great election. I went there on Monday. We had an election for Fred Keller. It was a 50-50 shot, and he won in a landslide. We went and we did a rally. Hardly mentioned today, and yet if he lost, it would have been the biggest story in the country, even bigger than this witch hunt stuff that you guys keep writing about. So here's the bottom line. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction. We've been doing this since I've been president, and actually, the crime was committed on the other side. We'll see how that all turns out. I hope it turns out well, but to my way of thinking, and I know a lot of you agree with me, the crime was committed on the other side. This whole thing was a takedown attempt at the President of the United States. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves for the way you reported so dishonestly. Not all of you, but many of you. The way you reported. So, I've said from the beginning, right from the beginning, that you probably can't go down 2 tracks. You can go down the investigation track, and you can go down the investment track, or the track of let's get things done for the American people. I love the American people. Drug prices are coming down, first time in 51 years because of my administration, but we can get them down way lower working with the Democrats. We can solve the problem on the border in 15 minutes if the Democrats would give us a few votes. So I just wanted to let you know that I walked into the room and I told Senator Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, I want to do infrastructure. I want to do it more than you want to do it. I'd be really good at that. That's what I do. But you know what? You can't do it under these circumstances. So get these phony investigations over with. The Wall Street Journal just wrote today, just a little while ago I saw it. Mr. Mueller wasn't obstructed in any way. This is Wall Street Journal editorial today. Mr. Mueller wasn't obstructed in any way. His copious report, copious, 434 pages. Now they want to interview all of the same people again. They want to interview Jerry Nadler, who's been an enemy of mine for many years. He fought me in...
See, listen to this. This is really interesting as well. You know, this is the Wall Street Journal saying that the Mueller report showed no collusion, and it was a copious report. And now they're talking about interviewing Nadler. Now listen to what he has to say, because I didn't know any of this either.
New York, unsuccessfully, by the way. I've had great success against Jerry. But he was representing Manhattan, and he would fight me all the time on the West Side Railroad yards, many times, very unsuccessfully. He failed. I come to Washington, I become president, and I said, oh no, I have Jerry Nadler again? So, Wall Street Journal, Mr. Mueller wasn't obstructed in any way. His copious report was released for all to see, and there was no collusion. This is the Wall Street Journal. And there was no collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. That's it. But they want to make this a big deal. Whether or not they carry the big I word out, I can't imagine that, but they probably would, because they do whatever they have to do. I'll tell you, there's a danger here. If someday a Democrat becomes president and you have a Republican House, they can impeach him for any reason, or her. Any reason. We can't allow that to happen. We can't allow it to happen. So when you look at all of the transparency, when you look at all I've done, and I will tell you, my lawyers say, you don't have to do this. You can use presidential privilege. You don't have to let your lawyers and all of your staff testify. You can use presidential privilege, sir. Would you recommend it? Well, you can be transparent or you can be tight. If you've done nothing wrong, being transparent is better. So I said, I did nothing wrong. Let's be transparent. So that's what you have, all of these things. Look at that, all of these things, 500 witnesses that I allowed to testify. It's a disgrace. So when they get everything done, I'm all set to, let's get infrastructure, let's get drug prices down. In the meantime, we're doing tremendous work without them. We're doing tremendous executive orders, a lot of work. We've had a great success, most successful economy perhaps in our country's history. We've cut regulations at a level that nobody else has cut them before. The largest tax cut in the history of the country. So we're doing a lot of work. Steve, yeah.
Now I'm going to stop it there because I don't think we need to listen to the questions, but this is just, it's really interesting because there's a lot of stuff here that I didn't know. And he's defending himself so well. And it amazes me at what he's been able to get done with somebody harassing him 24/7. The Democrats have not let up on him from day one and even before day one. What he has gone through, I don't think, well, I know no other president in the history of the U.S. has gone through what he's gone through. I mean, I know that JFK was killed, he was assassinated, but, you know, they assassinated him, but I don't think he went through the harassment, the ongoing harassment that this president has undergone. And to be quite frank, if they could get away with assassinating him, they would. Absolutely they would. So I really pray that he has good SS people and that the Lord will protect him for the good of our country, because I don't know, to be honest with you, what would happen if he was assassinated. I think literally all hell would break loose. And I think that you could probably clearly see that yourselves, because the country is so divided. And I think it's a lot less divided than they're trying to tell us it is. I really do. But there is a strong divide between the Democrats and the Republicans. And I don't know. I don't know what would happen, to tell you. I just don't. I don't know. And I don't think that there's anybody at this point that could take his place. I really don't. So anyway, we're going to go now from this, and I wanted to play this first so it will highlight how ludicrous what Pelosi is saying. Ludicrous. All right, so let's go back over here and let's hit on this, which I believe is Pelosi. Yes. Now, hang on here. It says, here's Nancy. Watch her in action. Hang on 1 second here. Watch the leader of the Democrat Party. This is third rate at best. Now, I liked this comment. If this woman showed up for an interview at your place of work, you'd be thinking about how to get rid of her after her first 2 sentences. Pitiful. And you know what? That's right. I mean, I've worked in corporate America. Many of you have. So really, if you were interviewing this woman for a job, I probably wouldn't let her get through 10 minutes before I'd say, well, thank you for coming. And you know I'm speaking the truth. I mean, it's unfortunate. I don't mind making fun of her for her ideas, but I don't want to make fun of her because, you know, she's got Alzheimer's or something. But, you know, I think that a lot of it is alcohol. I mean, I think a lot of it is alcohol. I don't know. But let's listen to her and notice how red her eyes are. She looks like she's been drinking. Now, people have red eyes for a variety of reasons. She could have allergies. It could be any number of things. She could have been crying. But, yeah, I don't know. You guys can weigh in below. Well, don't literally weigh in because I don't care what you weigh.
I'd hope that we could give this president an opportunity to have a signature infrastructure initiative to create jobs, to improve the quality of life, to just do.
Sorry to interrupt, but pay attention to this guy and this guy. Okay? Just notice how they are reacting to her. I want you to pay attention to that because I noticed. Okay, get down, get down. Oh, we've got a cat alert here. See, even the water doesn't work. Come on, get down. Get down. See, I had to spray. See how many times I had to spray him? The poor guy. I feel bad doing that, but what do you do? All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
To just do so much for our country on the ongoing, not only the jobs it created by building, but the commerce it would promote. And that included roads and bridges and mass transit, broadband into rural America and other underserved areas, clean water, wastewater, all of the things that have enormous needs. The American Society of Civil Engineers says it's in the trillions, the deficit we have. We're talking about a couple $2 billion. For some reason, maybe it was lack of confidence on his part, that he really couldn't match the greatness of the challenge that we have. Wasn't really respectful of the reason of the Congress and the White House working together. He just took a pass, and it just makes me wonder why he did that. In any event, I pray for the President of the United States, and I pray for the United States of America.
Yeah, and guess who's back up here right after I sprayed him? See, nothing works on this cat. I don't know. I love him to death, but I'm telling you. Anyway, now, get down. He just cleans himself off of all the water and he jumps right back up. I don't know. All right. So, yeah, it seems to me that, well, this guy was laughing at one point, and this guy, it's almost like, I'm so embarrassed to be standing behind her. And he feeds her an answer at one point, but he seems like, okay, I'm here, but I don't want to be here, and I'm embarrassed to be on this team. You know, when you're on the losing team, it is a little bit embarrassing. I just feel, oh, Sammy, I don't know. I don't know, Sammy. Okay, let's go back now and let's go on. So we've covered that, and this from Bruno Barking, and he's responding to himself. Here he said, yes, in my opinion, the Dems will impeach in the House, setting up the show of the century in the Senate trial. The world will be watching for total exoneration. And he responded to himself and said, the Dems will, in my opinion, impeach in the House. Okay, that's... Okay, it is a little bit different, what he's saying. The Dems will, in my opinion, impeach in the House, leading to the trial of the century in the Senate. POTUS will be completely exonerated as all evidence is declassified to exonerate him. Enjoy the show. So I do think, I mean, Trump knows what he's doing. He really does. And I think he's surrounded himself with very clever people, because that's what clever people do. You know, I like to hang out with people that are smarter than me. I don't like to hang out seriously. I love that because I like to be challenged. I like people that challenge me, and I want to be better. I want to, know more. I want to, okay, there it is. My cord was pulling out of here and it makes the computer dim. All right. So yeah, in my opinion, he's surrounded himself with very smart people because he's smart enough to do that. And I think that he's like 4 or 5 moves ahead of them at all times. And I think that he's being well advised, and I think he knows what he's doing. I mean, we tend to panic and think, oh my gosh, this is not good. But I don't know how much of it is show, because remember from the very first, Q said, what makes a good show? What makes a good movie? Well, it's good actors, for one, and a good script. That's what makes a good movie. So what was Q telling us way back then? It's a movie. I think a lot of it's been predetermined, and I think a lot of these people, some of these people are playing a part, and they're doing so maybe for a reduced sentence. I don't know. Maybe they're cooperating and they're playing along and playing their parts so that things will go well for them, because a lot of them have committed grievous, well, I'll call them sins, because they're sins against the American people and against God. All right. Now, let's see here. We're running out of time. Time goes too darn quickly. Let me see. What else would I like to get to here? There's a lot. This is interesting. Very interesting. I wanted to show you this. CNN's Anderson Cooper mocks Fox News host by making bizarre facial expressions. This kind of blew me away because it just looks bizarre, like bizarre. CNN's Anderson Cooper mocks Fox News host by making bizarre facial expressions. Is Anderson okay? No, I don't think he is, really. During a session on his CNN show last night, Anderson Cooper mocked Fox News host Jeanine Pirro by making a series of bizarre facial expressions. After calling Pirro the president's Islamophobe in arms, Cooper proceeded to attempt to mimic her facial expressions during her most recent Fox News Open. However, don't you chew that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so loud in the microphone. Gonna have to spray. Cat intervention. It needs to happen every now and then. Okay, now, however, the effort bore few similarities to Perot, and Cooper came off just looking as if he was about to shapeshift into an interdimensional reptoid. Yeah, that's probably a good expression, a good way to describe it. It was very bizarre. So now let me try and see if I can make this a little bigger for you guys on your tiny little phones, and just watch his expressions, okay? Just bizarre.
No scripts, no rehearsals, just a gang of criminals pointing fingers at each other to save their own hides. A version of true crime and the reality show Survivor.
Wasn't that bizarre? Really? Watch it again. No, really. Watch it again. It's only 12 seconds. You can spare 12 seconds.
No scripts, no rehearsals, just a gang of criminals pointing fingers at each other to save their own hides. A version of true crime and the reality show Survivor.
What was that? Really? What was that? I know he was trying to be funny, but it's just came off looking really weird and bizarre. Is Anderson Cooper okay? Asked John Levine. A close-up of Cooper's face only made the performance look even weirder. Yeah, let's look at this. Yeah, I bet you're having the same reaction I did. And John Levine said, there's powerful energy here. Apparently, the CNN host thinks that contorting his face is a substitute for actual counter-argument. With content like this, CNN is sure to recover some of its 26% of viewers it has lost in the last year. Maybe the fact that 100 CNN employees were recently given voluntary buyouts with rumors of more job cuts on the way mean that there's none left to write Cooper's scripts, and he's reduced to making sophomoric facial insults in the absence of actual words. Yeah. And I wanted to play this as well. CNN attacks Paul Joseph Watson.
Yours truly has come under attack from CNN. They say, wait for it, they say I'm not mainstream. I appeared on Breitbart Radio, and CNN's senior media reporter responded with this.
I'm old enough to remember when Breitbart was trying to go mainstream. Guess they gave up.
What exactly is mainstream these days? I mean, I know I come out with some edgy opinions from time to time, but I could never compete with CNN as saying something offensive. Then there's heaping praise on somebody who represents a brutal dictatorship that incarcerates, tortures, and executes hundreds of thousands of political dissidents. That's pretty edgy. Is that what constitutes being mainstream now? Genuflecting in front of a despotic regime that starves its own population to death? So, mainstream. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, I don't think InfoWars or Breitbart were fawning over a country that has no independent media, functioning civil society, or religious freedom. That's CNN's job. Maybe I'd be more mainstream if I encouraged cuckoldry. Apparently that's mainstream now too. But you know, when your primetime shows get less viewers than decades-old reruns of Yogi Bear cartoons, I guess you gotta spice it up a bit.
Marlowe went on to heap praise on one of the world's leading conspiracy theorists, describing him as a smart guy and someone who is wildly popular.
Second half of that, I'm not going to argue with, but calling me one of the world's leading conspiracy theorists. Don't know if you've noticed, but in virtually every video I've made about big events for the past 3 years, I've debunked conspiracy theories. Here, 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 here. idea. Did I believe in some pretty out there conspiracy theories when I was younger? Yeah, then I grew up. But see, there's quite a big difference between my conspiracy theories and those pushed by CNN. I didn't help promote the conspiracy theory that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. A conspiracy theory that led to hundreds of thousands of dead Iraqis, thousands of dead and maimed US troops, a ruined country, and the rise of ISIS. That's CNN that did that. I didn't promote the conspiracy theory that Libyan militias and moderate rebels in Syria were freedom fighters.
There is a significant amount of moderate rebels,
when in reality they were Islamic jihadists, Al-Qaeda and ISIS fanatics. A conspiracy theory that led to 2 ruined countries, the destabilization of an entire region of the world, and an international migrant crisis. Oh wait, that was CNN, wasn't it? I didn't promote the hands up, don't shoot conspiracy theory. A conspiracy theory that led to riots, shootings, and the worst race relations in 50 years. I'm not promoting the conspiracy theory that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians to steal an election. A conspiracy theory that's put the world at the greatest risk of nuclear war since the height of the Cold War. Now, who was it that did that? Oh yeah, it was CNN.
Then why is CNN constantly like, Russia this, Russia that? Because it's ratings.
I'm not promoting the conspiracy theory that socialism, which has caused untold misery everywhere in the world where it's being tried, is cool. Yeah, CNN again. I didn't promote the conspiracy theory that Trump was igniting civil war while endorsing Antifa, a violent domestic terrorist group that advocates for civil war. Who was it that did that? Wasn't CNN? Yeah, it was CNN. I didn't promote the conspiracy theory that the president was deranged or physically unfit, nor did I continue to promote it after it had been completely debunked. Who did that? Surely not. Yeah, CNN. I mean, you guys say that the very existence of the deep state, a manifestly provable entity in American politics since Eisenhower, is a conspiracy theory. You said the DNC and the Hillary campaign funding the P-Gate dossier, a proven fact, was a conspiracy theory. So maybe you're not in the best position to be lecturing others about conspiracy theories. Let me remind you that CNN is actively lobbying for a competing news organization to be shut down. In Russia, the government shuts down dissident media outlets. In the United States, CNN apparently thinks that that's its responsibility. Can anyone tell me why InfoWars is on the verge of being deleted for bullying and harassment? But CNN can literally turn up at an old lady's home, dox, bully and harass her for the thought crime of posting memes on Facebook, and then post the video on YouTube with no consequences whatsoever. Strange that, isn't it? It's almost like there's one rule for them and another rule for us. CNN threatened to expose a private citizen for posting the Trump wrestling meme if he failed to display the proper amount of remorse. Sounds like it's perfectly acceptable to engage in bullying and harassment, so long as you're called CNN. Not content with campaigning for our entire channel to be terminated because we dared challenge their narrative on...
Oh, no.
Now CNN is tracking down advertisers on InfoWars videos and trying to bully them too, because we really make so much money off YouTube ads at this point. Not like 90% plus of our content is already demonetized anyway. However are we gonna survive? CNN is like a bitter, jealous ex-girlfriend that just won't leave us alone. Remember when they hid behind bushes to stalk Trump at that golf course? Well, now they're obsessed with InfoWars. But to be honest, CNN, just not our type. We just don't have much in common with a network that thinks the American people are stupid as shit.
it'd be fair to question the intellect of the American voter.
Oh, no, they're stupid as shit.
Look, it's not you, it's us. No, wait, it's you. It's definitely you. So take your conspiracy theories. You know the ones that start wars, continent-wide crises, and domestic unrest. Yeah, those. Take your little InfoWars obsession, take your crusade against our YouTube channel, and shove it. Maybe then you can concentrate on, I don't know, being an actual news network. Remember those days? No, me neither.
Now, it's interesting because he has been taken off of just about everywhere. I think he's off of YouTube at this point, and he's definitely been taken off of Twitter. So it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's like, but nothing happens to CNN. No, nothing ever happens to CNN. So, all right. I wanted to play that for you because he's got a way of putting things so succinctly, and I think he's actually quite hysterical myself. So I think, I don't know what else to get into here. I'm gonna take you to this too, because I've been meaning to. And this, gosh, there's so much. Muslim Pennsylvania state rep calls prayer to Jesus Christ in legislator highly offensive, demands apology. Yeah. The rep who prayed is not apologizing and not backing down. The first Muslim representative elected to the Pennsylvania legislature is demanding an apology from another member who began their session with a prayer to Jesus Christ, calling it highly offensive. Representative Movita Johnson-Harrell said that she and her family were greatly offended at the prayer that had overt worship of Jesus Christ. John Harrell is quoted as calling the prayer highly offensive to me, my guests, and other members of the House. It blatantly represented the Islamophobia that exists among some leaders that are supposed to represent the people, Johnson-Harrell said in a statement to the Pennsylvania Capitol Star. I came to the Capitol to build bipartisanship and collaborations, regardless of race or religion, to enhance the quality of life for everyone in the Commonwealth. She had dozens of friends and family members in attendance because she was being sworn in that day. The prayer was made by Representative Stephanie Borowitz, who refused to apologize after being told that Johnson-Harrell was offended. That's how I pray every day, she said to a reporter, and added, oh no, I don't apologize ever for praying. I wouldn't either. The thing is, if we went to an Islamic country, would we be allowed to pray to Jesus? What if we said, well, your prayer is to Allah is really offending us? Do you think they'd say, oh, I'm sorry? No, go right ahead and pray to Jesus. You think that would happen? Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, that's what it's come down to. And I'm not going to read the rest of that because time is short, but I did want to touch on that. Oh, wait, I'm going to read this. On a day that should be celebrated across Pennsylvania as we see the first Muslim woman sworn into office, he continued, we instead start off with a rambling, at times incoherent prayer that consisted of weaponizing the name of Jesus while dipping into partisan rhetoric of President Donald Trump. There you go. That's what it's about. Yeah. Anybody that believes in Jesus, they must be a Trump supporter. Anyway, let's get out of there. Let's go back, see if there's anything else I can touch on. I don't want to get go too long because I know that it for a lot of people. Did you know that they're proposing turning Notre Dame roof into a giant swimming pool? Because nothing says I love you, Jesus, like dipping into a big pool. Yeah. So they're going to have all these people around in their bathing suits and everything swimming in this big pool. And this is what? Worship to God? I don't know. It's weird. And I think they were saying that it was going to be a place of reflection. Well, a pool generally is a place of reflection. Water reflects. Swedish architecture firm has proposed turning the roof of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris into a giant swimming pool. Oh, as a space for thinking and self-reflection. Well, you will reflect in a pool. Unless you're a ghost or something. I hear they don't have reflections. I don't know. Maybe that's werewolves. Vampires? I don't know. Yeah, in line with the French government's announcement that a modern contemporary redesign would be preferred, Stockholm-based Ulf Megerson, I don't know their name. UMA, that's their name, said the roof of the Gothic church should become a new meditative space with unmatched views over Paris, which I guess you could look while you're swimming. I don't know. In order to return Notre Dame to the city and the people, which was already the situation before the fire, the company wants to install a large public pool that occupies the whole roof. A large public pool. Have you ever been in a large public pool? Seriously. I'm not even going to tell you what was in there. Our addition is a complimentary spatial experience to the building that will match the awe of the great interior, a space for thinking and self-reflection. Okay. You really think that, being in a pool on top of Notre Dame is going to make you self-reflect while there's women in bikinis and men with banana hammocks on? Girls in 2 dots and a dash. You know how the French dress. That's going to be a time for self-reflection and meditation. I don't think so. Yeah. While the proposal sounds bizarre, yes, it does. It's actually not as bad as some of the other ideas, which include turning the roof of the sacred structure into a giant greenhouse. Well, I would prefer that over a swimming pool. I mean, I don't think that's as bizarre. It's bizarre, but it's not as bizarre. Vincent Calbot proposes to unite Notre Dame's nave, roof, and spire with a glass canopy. Another plan involves turning the roof into a banal garden with a misshapen penthouse plonked in the middle. Well, nothing says I love you, God, as much as a misshapen penthouse. There you go. Why would they want to do anything modern onto that church? Why do they not want to just restore it? Because they burnt it down in the first place. That's why. Architecture expert Tom Wilkinson also called for Notre Dame's fallen spire to be replaced with an Islamic minaret as an apology to Algerian Muslims killed by French police. I'm going to leave that right there. As we previously reported, the French government has forbidden state-employed architects from giving interviews to the media about the Notre Dame fire, which destroyed the cathedral's spire. The actual cause of the fire remains a mystery. Not to me. Why would they want to? Why would they not want to tell people what happened? Really? I mean, seriously. Notre Dame, belongs to France. Don't you think they owe the French people and the people of the world an explanation? Apparently not. Even though everybody has poured money into it now, everybody has poured money into its restoration, and yet they refuse to tell what happened to it. Yeah. All right. I'll leave that there because I'll say things that I shouldn't say. All right. And let me see here. Oh gosh, there's so much more. So much more. I wish I had time. All right. Here's another really odd one that I'm going to touch on briefly, and I think the rest can wait until tomorrow. Perhaps I'll have time tomorrow to do 2 videos. Mega church founder James McDonald allegedly sought murder for hire. Police investigating. Now, I don't know who this is, but this is from the Christian Post. And apparently he is a mega church founder. And police in Illinois are currently investigating, hang on here, allegations that Harvest Bible Chapel founder James McDonald sought to find a hitman to commit murder. A subject came in and filed a report, and we are doing an investigation based on that report. Wilmette Deputy Police Chief Pat Collins confirmed with the Christian Post Monday. The allegations regarding McDonald's efforts to commit murder were first reported by independent journalist Julie Royce, who cited Chicago radio personality Mancow Muller and Emmanuel Manny Bucher, a deacon at HBC and former confidant and volunteer bodyguard of McDonald's, as the individuals making the claims. Mueller argues that McDonald asked him at least twice in 2018 if he knew a hitman he could hire. Initially, he thought that the HBC founder was joking, but it became clear to him during a conversation in December that McDonald was really serious, Roy reported. Bucher alleged that about 3 years before that, in 2015, McDonald asked him to kill his former son-in-law, Tony Groves, and offered to help dispose of the body. He argued that he did not report McDonald because he was angry about his daughter allegedly being hurt and chalked up the proposal as a momentary lapse in judgment. But Bucher alleges that McDonald asked him to kill Groves while they were on a motorcycle trip to the Creation Museum in Petersburg, Kentucky from July 31st, 2015 to August 2nd, 2015. Others who were on the trip are former HBC Assistant Senior Pastor Rick Donald, former elder and executive director of the Harvest Bible Fellowship, Kent Shaw, former elder Marcel Olar, and church members Tom Moore and Steve Lupella. Now, what I have to say about this is this. I know a lot of people take examples like this and they point to that and they say, well, Christians are hypocrites, they're all phonies, whatever. You know what? Just because you go and you can sit yourself down in a garage and you can stay there for 10 years, it doesn't make you a car. So, I could go and sit in a French restaurant for 10 years and I might get fat, but I'd never become a French meal. Well, actually, I probably wouldn't get fat because the French have this way of eating. You never hardly see fat French people. But anyway, so what I'm saying is, just because he's a pastor of the church doesn't mean he's a Christian. He's a wolf. He is not a shepherd. He's a wolf. And we are warned about wolves, and we are to expose that evil. And that's why I felt it's important to bring this. A lot of Christians will be embarrassed by that and they'll say, well, I don't want people to know about that because it might, whatever. No, people do need to know about it because there are fewer and fewer and fewer churches that are actually preaching the real gospel and that are actually shepherds and not wolves. There are very few true shepherds left. That's the truth. So you can call yourself anything at all. I can call myself a ham sandwich, but I'm not. So there you go. You can call me anything. Don't call me late for supper. Okay, well, that's it for tonight. I think I'm going to stop there because I think I've been going about an hour and I don't want to wear you guys out. But I will be back tomorrow. That's a warning. And I will have, I'm going to try to do 2 tomorrow. I'm going to try, okay? I not always reach my goals, but I want to do 2 tomorrow because there's a lot of stuff happening and I want to touch on all the major things. So anyway, I'm going to call it a night there. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I hope you sleep well, stay safe, and remember, keep seeking truth because deception bites. Good night.